People have very different control over a PC. Most people just use a mouse, and they know basic shortcuts, such as Ctrl plus C and Ctrl plus V. If you are among these people, that may be just enough. And it's kind of true, it is enough for searching a video on YouTube, playing a game, chatting with a friend, and all those kinds of lame things. But if you want to get a better, smoother and more solid experience, you should learn some basic shortcuts. For instance, on Windows, Super, that is the Windows key, plus E opens File Explorer. Alt plus Tab switches between open windows. By pressing Super plus Tab, you can see your workspaces and current open windows. And of course, you know that the Shift key in such swapping just circles things back. The F2 key renames something in Explorer. The shortcut Ctrl plus Backspace deletes a whole word. And there are more things like this. If you are at this level, you may feel pretty confident and fast using a PC. Though some things aren't that comfy at this level. For example, if you code, write articles, try to control the windows and their contents with a keyboard only, you can feel how poorly the keys and the layout were placed in so many scenarios. Your arrow keys are on the other side of the board, so you have to move your hands across the whole thing. If you type a lot, a mistake would involve the backspace key, which is placed a bit off. This constant wrist movement to reach the key can cause pain. This group of Ctrl, Shift, Alt, Windows key is kind of far, and sometimes it takes a lot of effort to set your fingers in a complex combination. So, is there an answer to this inconvenience? Well, yes, there are many different programs and complex solutions. For example, AutoHotkey allows you to remap some things on your keyboard. If you are on Windows, you can do it manually, but at some point the amount of features and learning these things may overwhelm you. Luckily, there is a pretty decent solution to take control over your keyboard while keeping your fingers in place. By the way, a similar version for Linux and MacOS will be presented too. Static hands. Turn your unused CapsLock key into a superhero. And there is a 3-minute tutorial. It's set easy to use, speed yourself up, new typing features. There is the tutorial link. We need to get there. One more link is here, and there is another, so you won't miss it anyway. You can either download the exe file and use it straight away, or go via a more complicated way of running it as an HK script. Both are the same, but the latter option allows you to customize it, which is why we will download the HK script. Now, what can you do with the script? It allows you to use your CapsLock key as a modifier, so when you press regular keys on your keyboard, they will send different input to the system. For instance, when I press CapsLock plus K, I go down, CapsLock plus I go up. So basically, the keys I, J, K and L are responsible for the arrow keys. They are formed like the gaming WASD, but for the right hand. I find it quite easy to master. It may remind you of Vim, if you are familiar with it. However, the control is a bit different. And what's the biggest advantage in the static hand script, especially compared to Vim? It works everywhere. Literally, absolutely everywhere. In your browser, text editor, Windows Explorer, in Excel or a Messenger, it just works. Though it won't work in some games, especially competitive, because they usually have an anti-cheat that blocks all the HK scripts. They can help you do things unfair in the game, so that's an exception. Still, the game of using a computer gets much better. The author of the static hand script created a second version of the script, where he made the CapsLock key functionality disabled by default, which is perfect. Both versions can be found in the Windows folder, and the difference is minimal. I would just recommend using the latest one, as the previous one probably was left for kind of backward compatibility. By the way, I have converted the script to Linux, and you can now use it in any Linux distro. Here's how I can easily use it on Fedora KDE Plasma, with no lag or any issues. You can install it manually, or just launch an sh script for installation. All the files are in the description of the video. Similar solution is available for macOS. There is a free tool that will allow you to use this kind of setup. In general, script logic works pretty much the same, except of the specific difference between hotkeys for the macOS. We have already discussed the arrow keys, but there are more features. You can send other modifiers, such as Alt, Shift, Control and Windows. As an example, while writing text or code, if you needed to jump to the next or previous word, you had to use the arrow keys with Control. Now you can simply use CapsLock plus F plus J or L to move to the left or to the right, like so. If you just additionally press D, which is responsible for Shift, you can now select whole words. Another example, pressing W plus L will drag the current window to the right. If you add F to the combination, you will be able to swap between virtual desktops easily. If you press J instead of F, it would do the same but in the opposite direction. Note that the modifiers need to be held, not just pressed once before the key. It literally works like original modifiers, but you don't have to get your fingers all the way to the bottom left corner. As far as these modifier simulations are concerned, I think that the most valuable are the Shift and Control keys. For Windows and Alt, you usually may need something on the main row, and those keys could do different things because you have the Caps Lock key pressed. So you have to remember that it will change the behavior of many of the keys. What else? Well, on the right side of the alphanumeric keys, besides the arrow keys, the navigation cluster is here too. You can navigate anywhere with it. Let's say we are writing code or an article, and the file is big, but you need to go a little bit back. Just press Caps Lock plus Y and you will get back to the previous visible page. Caps Lock plus N and you're on the next page. Still, it works in browsers, files, your Explorer, and so on. There are also Home and End keys. Press U to get to the beginning of the line and press O to get to the end. Of course, here you can also use the F key, meaning to add control, and you will get to the beginning or to the end of the entire page. This navigation cluster, together with the arrow keys, really replaces the right part of the keyboard, so you can easily switch to a small one, 60% keyboard or something like that. The advantage of such keyboards, they don't take much space on your desktop, so you feel freer with your mouse, and they're usually portable and can be connected via Bluetooth. You can even start building your own fully customizable keyboard with this approach. The author added his special navigation logic. You can see these red keys. What they do, they send you 5 times up or down, and 6 times left or right. This can be just what somebody needs. Especially in programming. I can't relate, I don't really use them very often, but they are available. A pretty comfy way to erase something by using semicolon. It'll imitate backspace and erase one character. If you just add one F, that is control, you can delete the whole word, which is really cool. And there is an option to delete not the previous one, but the next one. By pressing delete, it is the H key. Insert mode isn't forgotten somehow, it stays behind P, but I have no clue what it can be used for. I never use it, so if you know why, it's in place. By the way, if you press a key that isn't considered in the script, it will ignore the caps lock and do whatever the key should do. For example, now I press G, it gives me G only. Number, same thing. That means that if you forgot to release the caps lock key, you'll still be fine. A little cool feature. You can pin a window to the top by pressing the equals sign. Why not? It works just fine. But I do lack some visual difference between the pinned and not pinned windows. But that's just me, and it's still pretty usable. Now, after we get really familiar with the opportunities, you may ask, how hard is it to get used to it? You may say, my left pinky is getting tired pretty quickly. Yes, it is, and it will. In fact, it takes time and it depends on your typing experience. Say, if you type like 100 words per minute or above, it would be easier. Though, pinkies are the hardest physically to adapt. It also depends on the keyboard you use. The easier to press keys, the easier to get used to new movements. So a soft keyboard may be a solution for the beginning. To make it easier for you to dive into it, I have prepared a simple wallpaper pack that aims to help you learn new hotkeys. The pack consists of 4 wallpapers, where the difference is in the size of the keyboard. How can you use it? Well, when you are into something and forgot a combination, just press Windows plus D. It will hide all the windows. A link to the pack is in the description of the video. You can get it for free. As it is an AHK script, you can add additional features. I did it because I actually lacked some really useful combinations, and there were available keys left on the regular keyboard. I needed a faster way to press escape, because it's a bit far, which is why I used CapsLock plus Q for this. Works like a charm. Of course, a link to the extended script will be in the description of the video. But what I found is easy to implement and use, and what saves a lot of effort: editing keys. For example, by pressing A, the script selects everything, which is Ctrl plus A, and the classic undo, cut, copy, paste and bold features are in place. No need to lose time by jumping the fingers. There were 3 keys in the author's first edition that make the selected text all capital letters, all lower letters, and the logic where every word begins with a capital letter, which is good for titles. Those keys are in the version 1 of his script. Finally, there are some special keys. Tilde imitates Alt plus F4, used to close a window. Not that easy to press, which is good, it's harder to make a mistake. By the way, there is a pack of desktop images too, so you can quite easily learn new keys. Link to the pack in the description. Anyways, R stays for rename, which imitates F2. T, select a line. Very useful thing, especially if you're in the middle of a long line. You don't have to go back and forth. We've already discussed the on top feature by the author. 7 key sans tab. I did it for myself because sometimes I have to press tab a lot and at the same time have caps lock pressed. That saves me time for this compatibility kind of thing. And I can still use Ctrl, Shift, Alt, Windows on the home row, so I can circle things, go to other tabs, and so on. The same reason I got Enter on the F7 key, and the mistake of pressing Enter can be expensive, so I decided to put it a little far, but still easy to access. Don't use it very much, to be honest, but still can send a message in a social network or messenger by clicking F plus F7. By pressing F10, a help window with shortcuts will appear. You can do all of this by running one extended script. And of course, this version of the script is available for Linux and macOS, though it won't work absolutely the same. Main part will work just fine. For example, no registered changers were included in the Linux version. A bonus shortcut that is already included in this script is Google search with Alt plus G. I feel like letters E and G are quite easy to misclick with caps lock, so I just recommend leaving them as they are, especially in the beginning. Regarding the customization of any of the discussed scripts, you can use the remaining free keys for additional logic. For example, you can launch a specific website in a specific browser using, say, F1. I'll set it up to open my channel in Opera, even though Opera isn't my default browser. I need a shortcut caps lock plus F1, a program path in quotation marks, and a link to be opened in the program. Now, when I press F1 with caps lock pressed, it opens the channel in Opera. You can easily specify other links and programs here. These can be your work pages, RSS sources, social platforms, and so on. I press keys on the number row to open certain programs that I often use, or those programs that aren't on the taskbar. Because you can just press Windows plus a number to open programs on the taskbar from left to right, so you don't need shortcuts for those. For example, from time to time I need to open a text editor quickly. Let's try Sublime Text. The format is shortcut, run, path. Let's check. Yes, it obviously works. All those free keys don't necessarily have to open something. They might just do something. There are a lot of examples in the script. Here's one more. Delete the current line anywhere by pressing caps lock +/. To add this, we can use the example of selecting a line. What it actually does, it goes to the beginning of the line. Then, while pressing Shift, it goes down, and then sends delete. That's how you can use this script and customize it to boost your work a little bit. You might think that there are lots of combinations and you need to learn them somehow. It takes time and effort. Is it worth it? Well, you decide it for yourself, but muscle memory will be your friend if you just use them for some time. I dare say it will serve you for many, many years. So the question is, do you actually work with text or code on a daily basis, or do you really want to boost your PC experience? Because this touch will change your experience to a much more positive, intuitive, and sensitive one, or at very least, you'll look cool because you look like a hacker when using your